Good fight. I've gone against Chris a few times. I thought Akoli would beat him. I do think Riakporhe beats him. I just think he's a fresher fighter. But good fight.
Ooh, that's a mouth-watering one. Hard to call. I don't usually sit on the fence. Whoever turns up on the day, it's about, in these championship fights, about on the day. Whoever turns up on the day and executes the game plan their coach and the team have devised as close to possible as the game plan will win.
Chris is a lovely guy, but obviously we're in the nitty-gritty business side of things, and we're not far away now. And listen, like, you could take Richard would be foolish to take confidence from their last fight. What Richard should take confidence in is from what he's done in here day in, day out for the last. People want to say 6 weeks. This man is never really out of camp, you know. He has his little holidays, but he comes back in. He's perfecting his craft. But this time, he's done things different, mate. You know, like, I know it's easy for everyone to say that, but, you know, you see a different glint in someone's eye. You see them going out of the way. He's invested a lot more into himself. You know, it's the world title. This is as big as it gets. Selhurst Park, party atmosphere, festival settings, with a world title cruiserweight rematch, Brit versus Brit on the line. This is massive, and that's how he's treated it. You know, he's just gone the extra mile. You know, with little things that maybe on other fights you choose to ignore. So I've got my confidence has been drew from what I've seen him doing in this ring, on them bags, on that field outside. That's where my confidence come from, and I'm sure, you know, he can drag his own confidence from there as well.
Fight, man. It's an amazing fight for the fans, but that's a very good fight. So, yeah, it's very interesting to see what will happen. Richard hits very hard, but CBS is very tough, and he has a great game plan, and he's been very active. But Richard, when he was fighting, he's knocking them out early, so it's hard, man.
Man, I'm expecting a good fight. You know, these boys got a lot on the line, so, you know, I'm expecting maximum effort from both of them. You know, no quit or heart, so should be a good crack.
Listen, great fight. Billam-Smith has had a brilliant sort of couple of years, hasn't he? But Riakporhe's had a good couple of years as well. You know, they've both improved a lot from when they first fought each other. I think Riakporhe's the fresher of the two. Billam-Smith's had a great run, but he's had some hard fights. So there's definitely more miles on the clock there. I don't know yet. I haven't made my mind up who I think is going to win that one.
Yeah, it's going to be like Richard's got better, and I think Chris has got better as well. I think the two of them are improved. They've got the experience. Riakporhe had a good win over the likes of Tommy McCarthy before going in. He'd had an acid test against Sam High before going into that fight with CBS, and he was kind of on better momentum. Chris's best win before that was like Robin Dupree. You know, he was a complete novice at that stage. And I think in recent form, Chris has had much better opposition against him. But Riakporhe has improved as well. So it's one of them ones that we've trained incredibly hard for it. We understand the risks, and he's approaching this fight like he's the challenger, like he was against Lawrence Akoli. And I just believe it's going to be a very different fight than the first one. The first one was, you know, Richard trying to hunt him down, trying to look for big shots. I think Richard will try and be a lot cuter this time. I don't think he'll try and load up with his shots. He's got better with his hand defences. And I think Chris, on the first fight, didn't know how to pace himself, was wasting a lot of energy running around the ring. Didn't back himself to take the fight to Riakporhe until about the 8th round. And it was just too little too late. So it will be interesting to see how both of them get on under the lights, and I think I genuinely believe that we're going to see a career best performance in Chris Billam-Smith.
When people look into this fight and they speak about Richard Riakporhe, they more so lean towards him maybe finding the stoppage. But on the flip side, and on your man's behalf, do you think Chris could find his way to a stoppage victory come June 15th?
I definitely think two big men, and they can both punch. Chris isn't as big of a puncher, say, on one shot as Richard Riakporhe, but puts them together really well, consistent with his power, doesn't have a big drop-off late in fights. You know, and I think, yeah, I could see Chris stopping him.
Just me doing me, and me really surprising him with everything I've done since the first fight. the differences I've made. I think that goes to say, in the Lawrence fight, Lawrence noticed the differences. I'd changed as a fighter, even in the short time he was out the gym, which was, wasn't that long. It was only a year. So if he's trying to think of me in the first fight, then 5 years is an even longer time. So those improvements are massive, and everyone that spars with me might watch me and think, oh, he's just this, he's just that, but then they get out thinking, wow, that's why he's world champion.
Yeah, we're obviously watching Chris's career. I've watched many of his fights, and I've seen him, how he's performed time and time again. A lot of people always focus on the W's. They focus on the victories, and that's it. But just remember, like with a lot of fighters, there's always chinks in armors, in their armory. So they might get the result at that time, but they fail to focus on the gaps in their armory until they go against a certain opponent to expose that. And that's what it is. And with Chris, even though he's got the wins, and I'm sure he's very proud of himself, I was able to see different things. I was able to see that he takes more shots than he has taken before. Why is that? Maybe his reflexes are slowing down. It's a normal course of an athlete. Boxing is wear and tear on the body. I cannot be in this physical position right now, and in my physical prime, forever. I can't be in it forever. So it's, as time goes on, we're gonna slowly deteriorate in different ways. And if you know about like the game, power punches, the power is the last thing to go. But before then, it's the reflexes, it's the agility, it's the speed, and all of these things. And I've seen that type of deterioration in Chris a lot. And I think I mentioned it in the press conference, and no, not in the press conference, in the Gloves Are Off, and he laughed at me. And in my head, I thought, man, if you're laughing at me, you are delusional, because you need to watch yourself like back and really have a look at certain things. I read some of the comments as well. So many people that are not even fans of me saying it's true, it's true, it's true, it's true, it's true. And there's nothing that he can do to stop that, unfortunately. It's just like when certain fighters come back and say, oh, I feel greater than ever. I feel the best I've ever been. But you're like 5 years or 6 years older than you was when you're performing at your peak. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think you're going to be performing better than before? No. Especially when you're taking damage as well, and you've been through about 10 to 15 camps. Come on, you have to get real and be honest with yourself. Anyway, which brings me back to why I heavily favor myself in a fight. I punch very hard, and I will get a chance to land. And when I do land, how would he react? And that's the question everybody wants to know. I'm not relying on punching this guy once and knocking him out. But I do believe if I do hit this guy, I'm going to take him out.